Hey, welcome to Tolleson-Mack podcast. We are home from the travels. We're home from the PBR, from Oklahoma, from you were up north, everywhere.
Everywhere.
So we had to call Dennis Gatz in on part 2. Man, you're back by popular demand.
Thank you.
You're in the top 5 of our most popular.
I'm excited.
interviews.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should saw the comments. You know, the women were commenting like just lines of them. But
Lines of them.
I'll have to look at some of them.
we erased them all. You know, we took care of you. But
Well, maybe why Dennis goes to look at the comments, we can talk about Equidity a little bit. Equidity actually gave all of us like a big sample. The guy from Equidity was super cool in Oklahoma.
John
Big
Dowdy.
John.
Yep. And Brandon sent his horse over to Miller Equine in Scottsdale, right?
Yes, sir.
Chelsea's place. Shannon, a big shout out to Shannon Miller too. He's not a sponsor of the podcast, although we wouldn't mind. But he builds some of the baddest places you've ever seen. Like he's got revolving tack room doors, and I mean just crazy cool stuff that he builds. But he Chelsea, his wife, does all the rehab and Cesar
Facility over
Yeah,
there.
walk us through that.
Yeah, it's a cool deal. I told Brandon he's got an older horse, and I told him we need to get him on this Equinity, and we need to take him to the swimmers and kind of get his muscles built up again because he's getting a little bit sore. And he's, in his older age. We need to get him ready for the World Series finals. And so I got a hold of Miss Chelsea, and she took good care of him. She's had him for 2 months now. And she was real religious on giving that horse his Equinity, and it really made a difference. Like you notice a difference in his muscle tone, his coat, even his feet. That's got to mean something to you. I feel like you're going to be ready for the finals.
I'm super happy how everything went over there. Man, between the swimming and the Equinity, his coat is just like it's a whole different. I mean, a lot of people can say, but this is a true testimony right here. Coming from a farmer, but it's
You can see the difference.
big time, and that's most people's deal. They want to see an eye. They want to see an eye test. If it passes, it passed my eye test today. So
And it was maybe better that it went somewhere.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It went you left
Yeah.
you in one state and came back in a different
yeah.
one, so you can
And
see it.
I'm so glad that we took it over to the swimmer at Equine. Because they did religiously, like you said, and probably sometimes I maybe slack a little bit here and there. So I'm glad it got done right.
It's a true test to show like what you can do if you maintain their feed and stuff, and then you can kind of on them older horses you lope them around too much, their knees and they're wearing out pretty bad. So swimming them really helps build that muscle back. And John gave me some samples for Johnny Ringo, my old heel horse. He's more famous than I ever will be, but. Yeah, he's been doing great. He's got some big knees, some ankle issues and stuff, and he's out there in the pens jumping and kicking. He looks really good. He's got his big winter coat on, and he kind of gets ready for wintertime. He thinks he's up north. I took him to Montana one time for the circuit finals when I was 20 years old, and he was 5, and he never forgot about it. It was 37 below zero. I had 3 blankets on him, and it was quite the deal. But man, to see that horse and still kicking and doing good. I'm proud of that product. How to represent that product. Equinity's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And we talked about it earlier just a little bit, Dennis. Like back in your prime, did they do that to them heel horses at all, or them rope horses?
Not as much, not like they do today.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
They had some places to swim your horses, but they just put them and lead them in a pond in a tank and walk them around it and condition them that way because it takes they don't hit the ground no more. When they're swimming in a swim tank. There's no shock absorber for them to hit,
right?
Which really took them horses that were sore and took a lot more to fix.
So, for instance, like today over there at Miller's, they have 3 different kind of systems in that barn. They have the one that I did where it fills up the deal, and there's a treadmill, so they walk on that treadmill, it goes all the way to their belly, full of water. The second one was like a 8x8 pad or something, and the horse gets on top and it shakes.
I like that one.
They do that one. And then the third one they had was another one they put the horse into, and they close it behind. The horse gets in some kind of a cradle or something when they seduce the horse, and then it goes into like sedate. I'm sorry, seduce. Well,
Just talk him into giving up.
And then they do like a cold plunge is what she explained to me. It was like just like a cold plunge, but the horse had to be,
They're doing it just with the horses the same way they do a human. I mean, they condition them, stuff like that. How they get that done is amazing.
Yeah.
things
how,
they do.
like how long has that been introduced into? Like, I mean, I'm sure they did it before, but I mean, like
They
you said,
tried experiments with all of it, but nobody had that much time to put into their horses. You
yeah,
know. Now the way the horse business is,
yeah.
put a lot more into it.
See, like the whole reason being is I didn't rope all year. I didn't rope at all since December last year. So my horse is out of shape, been sitting in there just eating. And Cesar's like, "This is what you need to do, or you're gonna ruin your horse. You know, you can't just go out there and end the time. Like if I slowly rode him, but I needed him. Right now we're fixing. So we took him over there, and I think that's like probably saved his life. To the
Telling you,
truth,
it lasts another 5 years on him, I promise.
at least the swimming part, I'm a high believer
It's
in
the
that.
same way with us. We take time off and don't do nothing for a while, and then you put us on a horse and go to rope, and we're sore and
Yeah.
bound up, and nothing feels right
Yeah,
until you do it enough to get your balance back and your conditioning. I mean, nothing works
Yeah.
the way it should.
That's why they got spring training, right?
yeah,
That's right.
I think spring training.
Yeah.
You know?
And you talk about that floor that vibrates, that
Yeah.
promotes all that blood flow to them horses that's got bad knees or
Mhm.
or some bad spots on them. That floor shakes and it promotes the blood flow to those horses.
Oh, okay.
And if you ever sit on it yourself, it'll just knock you in, knock you out.
I sit him at the mall. The one that vibrates at the
Yeah.
mall.
That's
that floor
awesome.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Get your horse on it.
Yeah,
Where did that originate at? Like probably like on the racetracks, huh? All of that
Mhm.
rehab stuff,
Probably.
everything really.
Mhm.
And then do you guys see that maybe like your game follows that the racehorse like are the racehorses the top of the mark?
Well, they spend the most money on their horses to win those races,
Right.
and we happen to catch on to some of that, which is really cool. I mean, they spend more time to get that horse to run than we ever would.
Mhm.
We just want to get him to where he'll turn in or to get a hold.
Yeah.
We don't spend much time thinking about what it takes to get that horse to do that. But if you'll trade places with your horses, you'll find a lot more works for your horses.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was funny sometimes. I'd kind of joke around. You see them barrel, especially when I first started rodeoing, them barrel racers had this and that on them horses, and the fly sheets and all that stuff, and the leg sheets, and
Only when they go to winning, it seems like.
and then they just take really good care of their horses, and they would have they'd have a chiropractor working on them all the time, massage them all the time, and now I look at it and I get it done myself now.
Right.
I'm pretty big believer on making sure that horse feels good, especially when they're trained and you're rodeoing on them, you're trying to make a living on them, you're going to these jackpots, the World Series stuff. You got to treat that thing like an athlete.
But trade places with it.
I'm telling you.
You got to.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, you trade places with it. You'll treat it a little differently.
It's the only way it works.
So we got a lot of stuff to get into with Dennis, and we touched on this a little bit in the first episode, but I gotta ask you again, and I'll ask everybody again. What do you guys think is like the most famous horse? One horse that comes to mind. Like if I just think of everybody's horse, and I think of all the horse names I've heard over the years, and this and that. I've never seen a horse, watched a horse, or heard a horse's name more than Johnny Ringo. And this was way before I knew who Cesar was. I watched him, and we were at Oklahoma, and there was this little kid. Hey, how old was that kid? Maybe
He could have been 8 or 9.
8 or
Just
9
a little
years
bitty
old,
guy.
right? And he's gonna match Cesar. And I said, "You want to match this guy?" I was just screwing around with him, and he says, "I'll match him." I mean, this little boy would have matched anybody. And I said, "You know who this is?" He says, "Nope." And I said, "Cesar de la Cruz." He said, "Okay, we're gonna match." Like he didn't give a crap. And then I said, "Well, you ever heard of Johnny Ringo?" "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, this guy owns Johnny Ringo." "Oh." Well, then it was a whole different. So that's how popular that horse is. So
There was a lot of horses back in the day that, like, there's a horse called Dragon that Brett Boatwright had. That was pretty famous. Billy Idol's another head horse that Rusty Wright had. I mean, Bar Smug was a yellow horse that Bobby Hurley had. There was no comparison to all the other horses. Charles Pogue had a horse called Scooter. And each individual header had a horse that made him made him what he is.
Right, and it's got to be a horse that we talk about this, but it's got to be a horse that kind of fits their style, right? Like you see these guys, they back in the box and they're riding a horse that looks like could be their tag team partner if they're getting in a bar fight. You know what I mean? Like
You've got guys like Jojo Lamont that can get on anything and make them look that way, but then you've also got guys like Bobby Hurley. When he was on these yellow horses, he had 2 of them. It was easy for him to dominate. Not only were they good horses, but they were stronger than most everybody else's horses. And they could make them steers hop faster than anybody else could.
And then when you're a healer healing for them, it's fun, right? When you see them riding them head horses, like, hey, we're winning some money.
yeah.
Everywhere you go, And like I had a paint horse one time that was unbelievable. It took me 3 years to get him bought. Finally, the guy missed one somewhere, and I followed him to his trailer. And That was a little paint horse I had called Pistol, but he was unbelievable. The guy would not let me have him till I at least roped on him.
So over the years, you watching roping and doing everything you've done, have you really seen the evolution of like the heading game change? Because we had Eric Rogers on here, and he was saying he has tried to kind of change the way he handles cattle and gets a hold of them and gets left fast to really set the healer up faster.
As far as that goes, there's always been one or two of them guys. Now there's 10 of those guys.
Okay.
You know, used to you had 3 or 4 that dominated. Now you've got 10, 12, you know, and they make their jobs much easier, but they're so much more of an athlete, and the horses are broke better. They just do things a little faster, but there used to always be 3 or 4 of them. Now there's 10 or 12 of them, or 15. You know, to dominate back when I was going all the time, there was 5 guys that dominated. The rest of them were just trying to make the finals. You know, but you had to make the top 5 to make any money.
For sure.
Well, I was gonna try to hold out on this, but you sparked me up when you said 15.
We good.
When you said 15,
You read my mind.
Yeah, I got to talk about this, man. The 15-16, we'll call it drama there at the NFR. This guy sitting to your right over here, he knows it better than anybody. So I'm gonna let you guys talk about it a little bit and go from there.
There was an issue. The computer system kind of went down in the middle of the year. There was a few issues with the PRCA stuff, and Colby Payne actually had some issues toward the end of the year with his rodeo count, and they told him he had a certain amount of rodeos and he asked him a few times, and so he went thinking that was his count. Well, when you make a phone call to the PRCA and you talk to certain people over there, a lot of it's unofficial. So when they tell you something, you can't take it to heart. And so
it's got to be an email. It's like talking to the bank.
It's a tough deal because you rely on them sometimes. Like you've been rodeoing and you're toward the end of the 4th of July, you're kind of looking now, and you're in August thinking I need to kind of pay attention to this count now and look in there. And I had an issue in 2014 with them, and I had to get a lawyer and kind of fight it a little bit. And Tom Richards, my partner, he was right on the money with his rodeo count. He wrote everything down, what he won, and he went to 75 rodeos. They were trying to.
He was telling us about that. He wrote everything down in a notebook. What you guys won, where you went.
Our last rodeo is Omaha, Nebraska. He drove from Omaha, which is on his way to Colorado Springs, and he had to sit down with him, and he left him with that folder. You know, he said.
Let me interrupt you 1 second about this, and folks, listen to this. When he talked about the lawyer and stuff, that's September or the first part of October. And so he had this guy only had a month and a half maybe to get a lawyer and to fight this for his livelihood. Like the NFR is what that's it. You know what I mean?
Make their money.
So imagine the stress that you were under. I mean, I just wanted them to understand. It wasn't like you had a year. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like that Tyler Worley, he went to 74 official rodeos. So he was one rodeo under. And so he made the finals, and Colby actually, the last rodeo he went to, Sioux Falls, that was his 76th rodeo, according to the PRCA. So the money he won there didn't count, and so he was fighting it because he was told by the PRCA this is how it's supposed to go, and it didn't go that way. And Tyler Worley had to fight for it, be like, I went under the mark, and like I feel like I'm worthy of making the finals. You know,
He went by the rules.
He went by the rules, and I mean, rules are rule, right? I mean, if you ever watch the Big Lebowski.
So it went from Tyler you're in originally to Tyler you're out, Kobe you're in, to back to Tyler. Am I correct?
Right.
It flip-flopped.
Those guys are probably buddies or something.
So we're good friends with Chelsea Schaefer, and I've had to talk to her about it, and she's having a hard time. She hasn't been sleeping. She's been writing a lot. She's been going. So it started off with like Kobe made the finals, okay?
Yeah.
And then Tyler fought it, and then now Tyler said it was in. Kobe fought it again. Kobe's in, and then back now a week before the NFR, they let Tyler Worley back in.
Yeah, I just read that.
No, I heard there was a lawsuit already filed about.
Yes, sir.
He was going to sue him for so much amount of money.
To start this grievance process, you cannot do it alone. It's like going to big court and you're going to represent yourself. No, it's not going to work. You need somebody that understands every word of the book and kind of understands the law a lot to be able to do this kind of stuff.
What he sued for was what he could possibly win. And I think there's been quite a few of those lawsuits over the period of time.
I'm not sure, but it was over $1 million.
Yeah.
So
Where
like,
he possibly could win.
Well, I mean, and not only that, but what about future sponsorships? I
Well-
mean, you know, he has to look. They have to look at that too. I mean, you've told us, all these guys have told us, once you make the NFR, you can, you know, you
you're
get different
set up
sets
for
of
a lot of
sponsors.
stuff,
Yeah.
And then each one of the sponsors are going to pay you really, really well at the end of, like, I mean, there's this rope sponsor is going to pay you. You know, he's got his.
I mean, we only have NFR qualifiers on here. NFR guys.
They treat you really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of seen it yourself, man. You've made the finals a few times, and you see them guys that when they, like, for example, I do a lot of clinics, and there's something about them guys that have a gold buckle, 2 or 3, or, you know, Jake Barnes has 7. Man, that's another level, you know, like that he got to the final level in the game. I got to kind of scratch it and kind of fight with it a little bit, but I didn't get to that last level.
You know, if a guy takes care of them sponsors, like we had to deal with Holiday Inn one year, and we had to keep track of how many people attended the rodeos, how many people got, how much exposure they got, right from the national finals and ESPN. And it was amazing, the rodeo count, the people that go to the rodeos. PRCA gets a percentage of that, I believe, down through the channels.
That's where Tyler Worley was getting at. It's like, well, I mean, if I happen to do good and win every, you know, win the world, I'm set up for life, and that's kind of why he went.
Which
back
we've
with
all
the lawsuit.
seen that. Like, I mean, it's
He keeps fighting, saying I went under the mark.
Right.
I didn't go to 75. I went to 74.
Right.
You know, so
See, like the outside looking in, the normal fan, like I would say, I mean, everybody makes mistakes. You know, that could have been one mistake in the very beginning, but to flop back and forth that many times, so there's mistakes being made, multiple mistakes in this deal, and that's where I see like the amateur side of this is like, you know, it's kind of a bad look. This is the professional rodeo.
yeah.
Association.
This isn't going to happen in the NFL.
You know what I mean? This ain't gonna happen in a lot of things. You know, this is the top of the rodeo world
But
here.
you have to
And
look at it in a way that them guys are, when they're new and starting off rodeoing, they're just wanting to enter and get their name down and get to rodeo. I mean, they want to go win.
no, I don't see this on the rodeo contestants at all. I see this in the management of
In
the
the
PRCA.
PRCA.
But see, it's up to that contestant to count his
That's-
rodeo.
that- that's-
he has to tend to his own business.
I understand.
that's what the PRCA told Colby Payne.
I understand.
He said it was up to you to keep your
Absolutely.
rodeo count, and we were one off, but it's up to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I agree 100%
It's like,
on that.
it's like, dang, though, you know what I mean?
What I'm is okay. It went from, I understand when they came to him and said, okay, now you know we messed up, but then they PRCA has to do an audit and they have to know then.
They should have known before that
Correct.
went public.
Yes.
Well, you know, when the
back and
computer
forth,
system
back-
went down, they probably should have done a couple audits and
For
make sure
sure.
everything's right in the middle of the season. That way, whenever it come down to the very final, because man, I've been right there where I felt like I made it, and then you have to fight for it. Like I really made it, and you know, I didn't cheat. I swear I got it right here on the books. Like I went to 75 rodeos, and so that's where it makes it tough for Worley. And I can see where Payne, Colby, he's like, man, this is what he's. I give Colby his roping lesson when he was 10 years old, little bitty guy. This is what he's been wanting to do ever since he was a
badass.
little bitty kid. And so it's like, I can see that too. It's like, hey, I fought for this, and like I wasn't wrong either. I'm trying. You know, I tried to make sure I was within the rules. But right there, the very last rodeo, and you know, it come down to that last one. He hammered down and healed really good over there. And it's like, gosh dang, he made it in that relief, and then all of a sudden, no, and then yes, and then no.
So let's jump back a second to what you talked about, how it's the contestant's responsibility to know your rodeo count and all that, right?
Mhm.
Why is that in the day and age of these phones and everything? Like, why can't the rodeo committees who are sanctioned by the PRCA report to the PRCA who won, and at any given time, any given day, boom, Dennis Gatz, Cesar De La Cruz won X at X, and
Easy.
and that's what I
Easy.
you know.
When it gets to the point where you're winning a lot of those rodeos, you won't count your little rodeos. Like
Mhm.
you'll count all your big rodeos, your two headers. But when you get to say there's 2 or 3 of them right there around home, well, you'll just enter them, not even think about notifying that you don't want to count them.
Unofficial money, they call that.
Yeah. You
So
just
see
gotta
that, yeah,
fish-
that's something like I'm
Yeah,
not So I know the listeners aren't going to understand that. So now, what is that?
You would unofficial your rodeo. Like when you enter the rodeo, you have a choice if you want this rodeo to count, the points count or not.
Yeah,
And usually them rodeos that doesn't pay over $1,000, you don't count them because you're
You might
liable-
be on your way home.
yeah. See, I didn't even know
you
that.
know.
It might be the
Okay.
76th rodeo that you enter, and
So me and you go rodeo, and we go to 10 rodeos. 8 of them are pretty big ones. 2 of them are on the way home. We unofficial 2. That doesn't count.
Points don't go towards.
So what would be the benefit of competing in that rodeo if the money doesn't go?
Just
fuel
winning
money?
winning money,
Just
riding a young horse,
That's your
kind
job.
of getting seasoned, and maybe on your way home. But there was a team, and a
that
few
makes
years
sense.
back.
Yeah, I never knew
This
that.
might have been 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Junior D's and Lane Siggins had $25,000 won unofficial, something like that. They won their circuit. They won every circuit rodeo they went to in the north, and like they had so much. But if that would have
If they would have counted that
say
towards.
they had 100 rodeos, that would have been enough.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. So you're gonna probably go to close to. I mean, I used to go to around 100 rodeos, but then you're only allowed to count so much.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
so
that.
when you enter the rodeo, you have to say, it's
Oh, you
gonna
say it before.
it's gonna be official. You have to tell them this rodeo is
When
unofficial.
you enter the rodeo itself, you'll.
Yeah.
You tell
It's
them
always
I
official.
want to unofficial this rodeo.
And so the bad part of it in the 4th of July, hey, we're turning out here, and that's where the problem I had was I turned out a rodeo,
Which was
and
official.
we didn't go to it, and we like it was official, but the way it worked out, we didn't need the rodeo anyways. We just turned it out.
Right, but you can't go back and official or unofficial it after you've already turned out.
Especially like it was before the books kind of were fixing to close out. We entered it, and we figured we weren't going to go to it, so we turned it out. And like we're not going to go to this rodeo. We're going to go to Omaha, and this is where we're going to put our chips in. And then so when we traded that, we happened at Martin Lucero.
Mm-hmm.
We went from being over top of the Omaha, and it was a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So right then, whenever we turned that sucker out, Martin Lucero called me and said, "Hey, you got the last set over there, and you're turning it out." And he said, "Yeah, it conflicts with the rodeo." And so he said, "Can I have that trade?"
So you left it in.
And his trade went back to where there was a day open,
Mhm.
and so then there was no conflict anymore.
Right.
And so but they were trying to say that, hey, you competed at too many rodeos, and we tried to do it right. We had everybody do the videos and audio and stuff, and what it come down to is like, how many rodeos did you go to? Did you compete at? And we competed at 75, and so that's why we got to go to the finals.
See, and they went from 100 rodeos a year down to 60. Remember, they went down to 60 rodeos, and you could enter, like one year we entered 114.
Wow.
You know, that's a lot of weekend, a lot of planes, trains, and automobiles. It seemed like, but like
Mule trains.
Mule trains.
Leo, he would out rodeo everybody.
He'd fly and do all kinds of stuff.
He would enter 100.
So is that why they put the cap? Because some guys could just get on airplanes and have rigs all over the
Because
country.
everybody would out rodeo somebody.
Okay.
You know, but then it come down to 60 rodeos wasn't enough. You know, if you had to count 60 out of it, there's 700 rodeos to go to out of the year.
The game's evolved so much with the entering and the roping and the horses and all that stuff. It's
Is
so
that the
wild
same
to
for
hear.
everybody across the board?
In the PRCA, yes.
So like Stetson wins that much more at 75 road because he goes into the NFR leading sometimes by $150,000, $200,000, or Sage Kimsey will go in leading by $200,000 in the bull ride, and he wins that much more.
All
at
that
70
pertains, like in the rough stocks, it pertains. They can turn them horses out that they draw a horse that don't buck, or
Yeah.
they'll enter on top of that one. They'll just enter another rodeo on top. And
But does
Yeah.
that count against? Okay.
And then I saw where that one guy only went to like 22 rodeos. Was it
Oh, you can
Casey
do that.
Field?
Yeah, but you got to get to so many, enough of them, right? But yeah,
Like 22 rodeos, he made the finals.
yeah, there was guys that done
Oh,
that
yeah.
before. Like you remember,
Well, some of those-
Joe Parsons back in the day,
I could be
Jack
wrong,
Open
but some
days. There's guys that have done that too, and if you can do that, more power to you.
I know.
But when they started letting that Extreme Bulls money add in with Sage,
They had to have so many. There's-
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and I mean, because he could just go win 20 of those.
because they got
At the
standalone
end.
bull ridings.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
PRCA sanctioned, but they're standalone. bull
this is a
ridings.
question. This might be a dumb question, but maybe you guys can answer it. So in the bull ride and the rough stock, and I don't know this. This is a real question. If the guys, everybody rides a bull, only one guy rides that bull, he wins first place. Does he win all the money,
Mhm.
all the holes, fifth place, fourth
But
place?
but
that money don't count.
only the first place money counts.
Okay,
towards the
but he
standing.
does get all that money.
gets all the
15 grand or
Holy
whatever.
shit.
Say the rodeo, he's going to win 3 grand to win the rodeo,
Uh-huh.
and he's going to get it all. It might be 15, 12,
Wow.
whatever grand. He's going to get it all, but it's only 3 is going to count.
Wow.
Same at the finals. So them guys that
Wow.
buck off,
Fuck,
the guys
really?
that when they buck
Wow.
off 14 guys and one guy
The
rides,
eliminator
Holy
pin.
shit.
yeah, the eliminator pin. One guy happens to draw a dink,
Yeah.
and I mean
Just-
rides it. Yeah, just a little jump kicker out
76 points.
I I did not know that.
76 pointer, and you'll see him at the MGM later.
Hey, you want to reride? I don't want
Never.
another one of these monsters.
Never.
I'm good for the night.
You know, here's something else. Like used to, you had to go to 25 rodeos to qualify for the national finals as a guest. Like Doyle Gilliman would go quite a few years when he would stay. He'd go to 25 rodeos during the year, and then somebody would pick him up. He was the fastest man in the building, so if he would go to 25, that allowed him eligible to go to the national finals, and then some healer would pick him up.
Take his spot.
So you can see how confusing this could get.
Yeah,
because
so-
Dennis's
I didn't know
back in
that.
Dennis's day, and then how like it evolved to my time. Like you're hearing this, and like it keeps changing, and
And
the
now
rules
with
keep
Colby
changing.
and Tyler,
And then Colby's deal is it was unofficial. Like you had to
crazy.
like the conversation they had about the rodeo talk. It was unofficial. Like
So
Sorry,
what do you
that's
think is
just
fair?
wild because I mean, you guys make your living this way. I mean, he goes and bells, "Hey, the hay's in the field." It's not
Yeah.
official or unofficial. It's just right there.
So if it came down to you, Cesar, how do you feel the situation should be handled? Do you think is there a scenario where both of them go?
man, I love both those guys.
It's happened before.
I've watched
You
them
know,
grow up.
would
in
that be
rodeo.
something you feel right with?
I would say Worley, kind of.
Because he went to left rodeo.
Yeah, he went to 74 and he was under the limit.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about Colby, the last rodeo that he, the Sioux Falls is when he won a lot of his money to get in.
Was that the government or the governor's cup?
Yeah,
or what it's called?
I think it was just the
Yeah.
if it was that, but yeah, it that money,
Yeah.
the 76
we got Junior
rodeo.
Zambrano over here. Was it? Do you know? Well, yeah. it was.
That's the thing about it. It's like rules are rules, man. It's like
That's
like getting another mulligan
tough.
over there at the U.S. Open
Mhm.
golf tournament. It's like there's no mulligans here, man. Like
Right.
when you go to a casino, they give you a player's card, right? And it doesn't matter what slot machine you play, all your points. It's like you guys need to swipe that player's card when you guys get to a rodeo, and then
Well,
press.
that's
have
what
a-
I can't understand.
When you get there, but swipe deal, have what deal says unofficial button and official button, and you guys boom, boom, boom.
Here's what doesn't work. Them guys, a lot of them rodeos, a lot of guys aren't eligible to go to them. They might only take 40 teams at some of the bigger rodeos.
Yeah.
If you're not in the top 40 from last year,
Yeah.
you don't get to enter that rodeo.
Yeah.
That's not really fair to the guys just trying, that's just starting.
That's tough.
What's your feelings on it, Dennis?
And I mean, rules are rules. That's why they make them.
Oh.
You're talking to somebody who broke a law.
I was gonna say that.
And
Man, has this guy
And
not
like I
turned
said,
over into
I get
me?
along with both those guys
Oh,
really
yeah,
good.
it's
I've known
not-
them
it's
since
not
they're little
personal.
bitty guys. They're so good, and they tried hard, and that's a tough deal about it. It's
Yeah.
like, man,
Yeah.
like you can see both sides. Like Kobe was trying to stay within the limit and the rules, and he was blind thinking he had that extra rodeo, and you can see it in his face when he healed that steer at Sioux Falls. Like, man, I did it. I was pumped up for him, and then Worley, he rightfully earned it, and you're trying to say that he can't go. Like, come on now, you know what I mean?
At the end
you
of the
see
day,
both sides of it.
end of the day, PRC should not have let it go like a damn ping pong back and
Should've never
forth.
been public
You know
anyway.
what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It's
All they had to
should've
do
kept it that
is
way.
at the very end of it, they should know this is the guy that did it.
You
This
want to
is
know the bad part about my deal, 2014? Chad Masters and Kenny Harrell were my best. Like we hung out at all the rodeos. Chad was my second partner, third partners. And you know what? There was just a little bit of animosity when I seen him again. And Kenny, I haven't seen him in a while, but like it was like, man,
Well, there
like
has to
it's
be,
like that's my buddy, and then we were fighting. We were going over there with the lawyers and
Right.
stuff. Like I lived with these guys all year long and battled it out. And then next thing you know, now I got to get a lawyer.
And the only one at fault truly is the PRCA because they didn't
Kenny
count
was
it.
mad. He's like, man, I can't believe I had to get a lawyer. That's what he was mad about. It's like, it cost me $10,000 for this deal, and
And really,
I
your
lost.
friends,
Like
I mean-
I finished up 16th in the world, and then I lost in the getting the lawyer deal. I was like, I got my butt kicked this year. Like,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
that's
tough-
an
it was a
expense
tough
that
deal
he
for
didn't
Kenny,
know.
man. It's like-
Absolutely.
It's like, so like I hope there's no animosity between them two because they're good boys, and you're going to see them
And
battling
I
out
would
for
think
years to come.
I would think Payne would have to have something, some kind of email, some kind of a text message, some kind of an official something from the PRCA saying he had X number of rodeos to continue.
There's a recording of
Yeah,
it. No,
like to continue
his
rodeo.
lawyer got it down. There's a recording of it.
Because I mean, if he has that,
I
I
think-
mean,
Every conversation you make with the
Is recorded.
PRCA is unofficial.
And like,
That's a tough deal. Like
now, used to, you had a confirmation number that you'd go back to that stood. It's probably not like that now. but-
I'm sure they had the confirmation they can go back to the recording and stuff, but I know that he went back to that several times, and like he tried to tell him like this is what they told me, this is my number when they told me. But
Because he wouldn't have drove all the way to Sioux Falls.
when you talk to them, people at the office, like they're some of them are college kids and stuff like that. They've been there for a couple of years. They kind of know what's up, but it's official. It's not like some of the higher rankings. You can call up there and ask for a higher ranking person at Procom, and they can give you a little more. But that's where the confusion comes in.
How many times did you say I want to talk to your boss when you called in?
Man, I started doing it more after, but like it used to be just call up there and enter and stuff. But like you when I started getting into it more, you can call up there and get ahead.
You can get the right person up there.
There's like 20 operators.
And if you get the same operator every time, or something, they knew more than the other one, and they could pull a few strings.
Yes.
And then if they couldn't, you go to Jim Nichols, which he was run the Procom. Which Procom was quite. I mean, we all enter through an 800 number, and you've got a plan where you're going to go. And if that perf's full, or if everybody's asking for the perf that you want, you'll change your preference to another preference that you might be able to get. And it's just a big confusion right there.
And it sounds like
I won't say any names, but I used to talk to operator number 22 and 18 quite a bit, and they used to help me out
That's
with
just wrong.
getting up.
And they live in Casa Grande,
they're-
Maricopa.
No, but they were just good. They were doing their
Yeah.
job. They were within the rules, but you could ask them a few questions, and they've been there.
They gotta be like that.
It's like you can get somebody that's been there for 5 years or so that works and kind of knows how that the proper way to enter, and
Right.
you're going to turn out here. You're not. They kind of know the system a little bit. So, but then you can get some operator number 3 that's only been working there a month, and she don't know or he don't know nothing. So it's like that's a tough deal.
You got to know the questions to ask.
Yeah, that has to be tough. I mean, we all know my feelings on the PRCA. I think they make too much money for how they exploit you guys. So, I mean, if they settle out of court with paying for $1 million, I think that's what they should do. But
it's funny.
It's over now, isn't it?
It's over now. I think. Tyler Worley's in.
yeah.
you don't think Payne will bring a lawsuit against them?
But it's
Cut and dried.
It's like they've already got the lawyers like to that point now. It went federal, I think. Didn't it? Yeah.
The rules are rules. That's what it's written for.
Yeah, and that's where they're going to go with, and like I said, the conversation was said that it's unofficial.
That's my point exactly. Rules are rules. So PRC is the last call. Then why to go ping pong?
Yeah, why did you ping?
Especially publicly.
Yeah,
Back and forth.
exactly.
It's a tough deal, but like you said, it's happened even in your era.
Oh yeah.
To mine to.
Yes, that man right there. It's a roller coaster being out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when things are good, they're great. When things are bad, I mean, you can't get far enough away.
Yeah.
It's
They're
always
really
been like
bad.
that. It's always been like that.
So over your time, have you seen more stuff like this?
Oh yeah.
And does it seem like when when Tom Richards was telling us they kept track of that notebook, with his notebook, and he wrote everything down, I thought, man, that's kind of old school, but it seems like that was probably a better plan.
That's how his dad did it.
Yeah, that's probably a better plan than
Yeah.
what the heck they got going on now.
At the end of the day, it's the best way. These damn phones can shut off and
You gotta
freeze.
look at it like a business, because back in our day, we didn't have all the computers, we didn't have all the technology they have today. So you did write everything down. You had a notepad, and if this plan didn't work when you entered it, you had another plan. You had 3 plans to start with, and if none of them worked, like myself, I'd go to David Moats, and Julio Marinos, who I started with. Them guys been rodeoing all them years. They knew how to do it, but they let me try and figure it out. If that didn't work, I'd go to them.
Man, I tell you what, I missed the Roper Sports News because rodeo PSN there, but you can circle. They give you a list of the rodeos, that month or 2 months in advance, and you can kind of circle them. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here, and then you can kind of count them. And then at the end of it,
keep
you
a
could,
good idea.
but the books aren't there, so like the phone kind of. I'm old, like I said. I'm still caught. I'm in the middle, old school and new school. It's
You
tough.
kind of get a
spot.
plan where you're going to go.
Yeah.
It's just like looking at a Randy McNally map. You'd look at this map, and I knew this person here in that town. I knew somebody there in that town. Well, now when you look at, you just got you on your phone. You miss all these people that you used to know.
Yeah, the Googles, like it might take you down a back road too. You got to be careful.
But you look at that Randy McNally and all these little towns. Let's see, that guy lives there, that guy lives there, and you just made your little route, and you got to see whoever you needed to see. Now you can't do that because you put in your destination, and it tells you how many miles, and there's no in between.
Yeah.
How many miles what's the most miles either one of you have drove from one rodeo to another one that you had to be at? You know what I mean?
Kissimmee, Florida, California.
I had to drive
From California?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Strathmore, Canada to Lovington, New Mexico.
Yeah.
That's rolling.
That's
Yeah.
Kissimmee, Florida is the farthest I ever
Florida,
been.
yeah.
To rope, you're up and you had to go.
we roped at a rodeo, Strathmore, Canada, and we had to make sure to get that Lovington. It's a really good rodeo in our circuit, anyways. But
What happened?
We did good at we placed in a day money at Lovington, and we won third in the average over there at Strathmore, so it was worth the trip. But yeah, it was, man. I had
Those are the tough ones.
Johnny
huh?
Ringo back then was a war horse,
Yeah.
man. The son of a gun. He was so tough, way tougher than me. Like I feel like crap, and he'd
You know,
still work good every time.
One year we put 60 hours on a Bonanza 210. That was over the 4th of July week. We run 16 steers in 5 days. And I mean,
Who was your partner?
I was running with David Moats back then, but there was David Moats, D. Pickett, Denny Watkins. I remember there was 6 of us.
D. Pickett lives in
Caldwell, Idaho.
Yeah, but he has a place in Cave Creek. Andy took him to Hay the other day. He wants to come on the podcast. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
One of my
Come
heroes.
on the podcast.
Perfect.
Oh, that's what. Remember, I said I was like,
Yeah.
Cesar don't know.
Cesar, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's funny you brought him up.
D. Pickett was one of the greats.
Yeah.
But that many hours in a little Bonanza 210 was
man.
pretty tight. I'll never forget one time we were in a Bonanza 210. We stopped and got fuel. We didn't pay any attention, but D. Pickett, I'm pretty sure he bought some Dementi soup, and he put it in his boot. We didn't know this till we go flying again. We got back in the airplane, we're flying, and he acts like he's getting sick in that boot. And then he takes a toothpick out of his ear and just goes in that soup and eating it. You want to talk about guys getting sick now?
They thought he was eating throw up.
Oh, yeah, 'cause he just grabbed his boot and just acted like he's sick, and then took his toothpick and just went picking that meat out of there.
You guys
Oh,
probably
my
look like
goodness.
Lane, Tuff, and Cody
Oh,
in 8 seconds
That's
flying
a
around in that
different
little,
era back then.
golly.
flying around in that Bonanza.
Oh, I mean, it's terrible. But there's me and Denny Watkins. I know we was looking at D, and D just like nonchalantly just takes his toothpick and just goes eating it.
Oh man.
And we had no idea that it was Dementi soup.
Mhm.
Always wanted to kill him.
Man, the tricks them guys used to pull on each other back then were pretty hardcore.
Well, they did pull a lot of tricks.
Yeah, they're a little more sensitive nowadays about that. But yeah, guys used to bust each other's balls pretty hard back then.
Ricky
for sure.
Green used to get in your tack compartment of your horse trailer. When you'd miss one, he might be out there in your tack compartment in a 2-horse trailer, like in the little bitty compartment. He'd be in there when you open the door and try to put your saddle in. He's grabbing you, running your pickup, grabbing your ankles.
Oh shit.
Get your mind right. Well, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to get some water. We'll fill up the cups, and we'll be back with Dennis Gatz. So welcome back to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. The second half of this podcast with Dennis Gatz is brought to you by Hauser Built Retriever Truck Beds
Yes,
and
sir.
Hauser Built, right?
Yes, sir. Big.
What
shout
else
out
does
to
he
him.
make? The bell flipper.
Bell flipper, bumpers, quite a few things. Look up Hauser Power. Look them up on
Hauser Power.
Hauser Power.
Is that like a .com at the end or anything? Or
I know he has Instagram. I'm not sure. I need to get
Some
some
social
more
media.
information from him. But big, I need to give him more love on this. Them retriever trucks are, just, people that know, they know. So
Yeah,
that's all we gotta
for
say.
sure. I mean, they're the best.
That's all we gotta say.
They're the best. Yeah.
Mhm.
So our break was actually in between shorter than normal because we got these guys and we started talking and an interesting subject came up. Brandon, I think, asked like, what happens if you're at the NFR and your partner gets hurt? I mean, you're there, you made it. The guy, whatever he does, breaks his hand or
Yeah.
whatever happens, he gets hurt. So why don't you guys explain what happens?
Because like if he's a roofstock guy, he's just out. So there's only competing against 14 people.
Well, no. So on the rough stock side, I do know this. They'll bring in the alternate. So they hold an alternate.
So they're
for-
competing against the same amount every night.
They're
14.
competing again.
Oh, okay.
Bull riding, not to offend anyone in the team roping world, but bull riding sells the show. So they're gonna want them guys. They're gonna want buck 15 bulls every night.
I got you.
So that's kind of why I think they do it that way. So why don't you guys explain? And then I think you had an incident at the NFR, right?
In the team roping, actually, you've got 15 headers and 15 heelers. When one of those guys get hurt, that leaves one guy without a partner. So he's got an option of getting somebody that's entered in the rodeo to rope with him. And in certain circumstances, he can only go for the go rounds, not the averages. Like I had a situation where Bobby Hurley hurt his back the very first steer we ran, and I had an option of getting a bulldogger or a team roper, a calf roper. And Bobby had told me to find another partner, and I said, no, we started together, we'll end it together. And I waited for him to get well. I think we turned out 3 steers before he came back, and
So
we still had a chance.
Does the person that you get have to be in the NFR?
Has to be entered in the rodeo.
One of the most famous ones was, for all you team roping fans would know, Jake Barnes when he cut his finger off over there at the NFR. He was roping McCory Koontz, and they were doing good. Cut his finger off. Well, he had to get somebody into the rodeo. Might as well get Trevor Brazil, right?
I mean, if you're gonna
Which
call in
worked
somebody
out.
else,
Which worked out really good because Trevor, I believe, got on Walt, that head horse Walt, and yeah, it's lights out when you get world class.
And then Trevor got to make some.
horse.
He got to make some extra money.
Yeah,
That's
Little
a
side
win.
works out great.
Hell yeah.
But how it works is that money didn't go towards the average.
No, he was just
But
going
day money.
money's every round.
Oh,
But
so
I do
then
think
he
Trevor's
could
money
really-
counted for the all around. Remember, I think
That worked out really good for Trevor too,
Yeah.
right? Well, like he had
him
won
3
pretty
events.
much. It wasn't even really.
So
close.
that money did count for the all around,
I think
the money
that's,
won at the finals. Yes, when they put him in, that money did go towards his all around.
even when he roped the Corey.
he didn't have to qualify. That was still money earned in the PRCA.
Okay, that actually makes sense.
I think he had it won pretty much going in
He-
anyways.
he
He
usually did.
yeah, he dominated that year. I think.
Yeah, he usually did. So, when the situation happened for you, you didn't take another partner.
No, I didn't take that. I went ahead and waited for my partner because we started together. We'd ended together, and that's where that loyalty
So-
comes into.
So explain that because you're kind of downplaying it a little bit.
Well,
You turned out steers at the NFR.
Well, not on,
3 of them.
not on purpose, but we had a $5,000 lead going into that year. We it was very hard to get ahead of Jake and Clay anyway, and we were tied going into the Cow Palace, and we won the Cow Palace, give us a $5,000 lead, and then the very first steer, Jake and Clay was like 4-7, and we would turn around, we were 4-6 right behind him. So we're staying ahead of him, and Bobby can't get off his horse at the catch pin. He's going, I can't move, and he had ruptured a disc in his back. So we pull him off his horse, and now I'm in a situation where I have to either get another partner or wait to see if Bobby's going to, because he can't even move.
And what year was this?
This would have been 89, I think.
So is the Justin Boot Sports Medicine team rushing?
They
to
had
Bobby, or-
they had everything.
Did they?
They flew specialists in and everything, and Bobby told me to find another partner, and I said, no, that ain't going to happen.
That's solid.
Loyalty, right there.
That's solid right there.
And
Would you have set out the rest of them?
I'd have given
Yeah.
my life for that guy.
Yeah.
And we were good friends, Bobby and I was.
And that's saying something because that's the whole. I mean, that's where it's at. NFR. I mean, that's the last of it. So.
I mean, I was just a little different than most, I guess. It was
Mhm.
maybe,
Man, I would have done the same thing. I don't know. It'd have been tough, but Coulter, man, and he's my best buddy.
Yeah.
I would have felt
you know, you
like
have
we
to,
made it together. Like this is our
ride-
dream
we ride
together.
together,
You know
we
what I'm
die
saying?
together.
Yeah.
you have to understand. You sit beside somebody for a year or 2 years at a time. That's 90,000 miles you put on a pickup sitting beside that guy. You kind of get to, you think you know him, and it changes a little bit when it all comes down to it. You know, I mean, Bobby and I had a great career and everything, but it could have turned out a lot different. I was the one that had the problems with it. You know, nobody else did.
I watched an interview the other day with JB Mooney, and he was talking about when he broke his neck and when he had to finally decide that he was done riding bulls. And he said, man, I was just so worried about, this is what I've done for so long. And, yeah, I've won a lot of money, but I spent a lot of money, and I bought houses and ranches and, I've spent a lot of money. So I was pretty
Bulls.
worried. Bulls, lots of bulls. And he says, so I go to calling my sponsors up saying, hey, man, I'm going to announce my retirement. I'm letting you guys know. I don't want to blindside you or nothing. And he said that the guy that runs Monster, and I can't remember his name, but he said the guy that runs Monster told him, okay, so is this supposed to change something? And he goes, well, yeah. He says, I ain't going to be in the PBR anymore. I'm not going to be riding bulls. And he goes, as long as I'm at Monster, you're a Monster athlete.
I'm sure he said,
That's
JB,
awesome.
you branded
Yeah.
an M
Yeah.
on your shoulder. You're like we're Monster for life, dude.
And then he said he rolled down the list and he went to Total Feeds, and Total Feeds told
Yep.
him the same thing, and so there is a lot of
Yeah.
loyalty into this game. Like it may not seem like it, and I think like what you were saying earlier, it's got to be so hard to get in an argument with a guy you got to see every weekend. I mean, Colby and Tyler and all that, they don't want to be mad at each other, but they both want to make finals.
Yeah, like it's a tough deal.
Especially in the team open, you've got a situation where you've got a buddy team you usually buddy with. You go to certain, you go to however many rodeos you're going to, you buddy with a team, and they're up everywhere you are. So you want them guys to do good. Well, as soon as somebody's not doing good, you'll see one guy start fading off or going to it in another different way. And it's a kind of a cutthroat industry. It's a lot better when you know your partner's behind you. When I was younger, I roped with David Moats, and when we first started, I couldn't catch behind him. And I told him, you need to get you another partner. I said, because, I know how you guys always switch partners all the time. And he said, look, we're partners till December, whether you like it or not. And when he did, we turned around and won Salinas the next week. Just that security of knowing that guy believed in me made a world of difference.
So do you think him telling you that like at a young age when you had to make that decision at the NFR, it wasn't even a hard one for you
Oh,
because
no, wasn't even a question.
yeah, you danced with the one that brought you.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it happened to me a couple times with that where, when your partner gets two things you couldn't talk about your partner was his wife or his roping. Those two things right there would cause a little problem in your vehicle.
You might need to pull over the side of the road and get a fight over there.
I
Anybody
mean,
else,
and for
too.
no reason, you might be right. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I understand.
Two things you couldn't talk about: his roping or his wife. There's a problem.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, it's your friends.
Well, speaking of wide open, it's about that time. So if you're under the age of 18, go ahead and click off. I mean, you can still hit the like and subscribe, but just click off because we're going to get into some Dennis Gatz stories.
Oh, I don't know if we should, but
Well, we're here.
There's a couple.
you guys we was talking earlier about Cowgirls Gone Crazy on tour, and it was a deal Tommy Krausen put together for. At that time, they had Girls Gone Crazy on tour.
Girls Gone Wild, right?
Yes. Tommy Krausen gets behind this situation and has a big party. They have horse trailers made for Lee Woodbury, I believe, and myself. And they was gonna promote Cowgirls Gone Crazy.
Can I ask why they picked those two people? I mean,
Just say we had a little more fun than most.
yeah.
To put them
So
on.
I'm just asking you, when they came to you with this idea, I mean, what were you thinking? Like, what in the
I'm a
hell's
guy,
going
no.
on? Like, you're
offended.
No, this is what we
That's what
did.
were you just like, man, this is awesome. This is like, well, I'm a roper, and
I
I'm
had
doing
more
this.
fun than anybody else.
You've said that ever since I met you.
This went on to progress where after this situation, I come to the little Mustang Ranch one time, was going to put a logo on us, and I thought I'm the guy, and
If you're
tried,
going to pick anyone, it's going to be me.
back to this story, but I'll tell you this Mustang Ranch got behind us one time, and they wanted to send 32 prostitutes to the national finals
No shit.
to give away for day monies and stuff like that. Well,
Just-
Wait for Steve.
now
There you go.
we had a problem. You can't take prostitutes on a college campus.
Yeah.
So I had to call Las Vegas Events and talk to them at the college about,
What's going on?
this lady behind it, she was all game. Any publicity for
Yeah.
that situation is good publicity to them.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking, I'm the guy, well, shoot.
How'd that work out in the end?
Well, needless to say, no.
No.
That was a no.
They
said
said
no.
their exact words were, when I called the Las Vegas Events at the college campus there, they said, if you're expecting to bring 32 prostitutes to the national finals, they said, you'll be subject to be shot.
Oh shit.
Sir, this is a family event.
And then I tried to have a conversation with somebody's wife about
Yeah.
this kind of situation. Now, what it's unheard of.
Yeah.
But Susan Arthur happened on the Mustang Ranch, and she was game for it.
Wow.
And
Imagine.
I was going through a divorce at that time, and I stopped in there just to see what was going on in
Yeah.
these places.
Uh huh.
And
Check it out.
Heard about it.
Check for sponsorship.
So let's go back to the story.
so back to this Cowgirls Gone Crazy. Well, Tommy Krausen has a big party at his house, and
Was he divorced at the time too?
Tommy? I don't think Tommy was.
Never got married.
Never got married.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Tommy
Just
Tommy
curious.
Krausen, bless him, he's not here with us today, but
Okay.
he was real,
Yeah.
and I mean as real as they ever get.
Yes.
Matter of fact, he bonded me out of jail the first time I got locked up down at Odessa.
Was he a team roper?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Rode the best head horses. Fast. Yeah, he was a gamer when it come to the rope, and he loved it.
NFR?
No, he was a circuit kind of guy.
Okay.
Like jackpot.
Always had a high roller,
I got you.
Liked the jackpot a lot.
but they put together this Cowgirls Gone Crazy on tour, and they had Lee Woodbury and I full trailers, and they had a big party over there in Phoenix and maybe Queen Creek, and Shane Barnby shows up. He's going to do a concert. I don't know if you guys remember Shane Barnby. He's a singing cowboy. Well, they have a lady named Vicky Nova. She's going to endorse this event, and she comes in the arena with Angora chaps on, the furry Angora chaps, nothing else. And her horse goes prancing as she's coming in the gate, and somebody there at the gate grabs that horse by the tie down, just grabs it, and this horse flips over backwards.
Wow.
And next thing it hits us, she lands on the ground, with the horse on top of her. And I think she was in a coma for 2 months, ended her career.
Oh man.
And I don't think she was a barrel racer.
That's sad.
That story definitely went a different way.
Yeah.
Well, it did at that time, but that ended the whole Cowgirls Gone Crazy thing.
I could imagine.
And it shouldn't have went anyway. It was another one of those events that you couldn't.
Yeah.
Nobody would have.
We have a family event. Our business is great because the people that's in it, and it takes that kind of thinking to cloud it up.
Absolutely.
And at that time, I had a lot of that thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was right, but it was a lot of fun.
I don't think anybody had more fun than you.
Doesn't seem like it.
Man,
I hear a lot about it.
Nope.
You remember a lot about it, or you just hear a lot about it?
Well, I remember what happened, but I don't remember all the stories that they say. We had so much fun. We had I put on one bachelor party there at my hometown. I put on every bachelor party after that, and I would count 17 people in springtime. Come when you go to Oakdale, everybody come to my house, from every bulldogger to every team.
Is that when you were telling me they stay in your pasture?
Oh yeah. They would park their living quarters in my dad's house, the pasture, and after Reading would go on.
I was one of those guys back in the day, jackpotting.
Yeah.
I was one of the camper.
My old man would just flood that pasture, and it was time for them guys to go.
True story.
I counted 17 guys on the floor, from Brett Tanazi to Rod Lyman to you name it. Anybody that rodeoed, I was friends with. Steve Duhon and I used to be best friends. I'd have all the bulldoggers at my house, from Rod Lyman, Oakberry, just everybody. And the bouncers at the bar, they would come home up from the bar at night, and they'd tell these guys certain things what went on that night. And these guys would go talk to these girls they didn't even know, and they would set them up to go over there. It was crazy.
And that was in your hometown?
That was in the hometown series, yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't park a Snap-on truck on our road, but you could park a horse trailer. And Bobby Hurley, Matt Tyler, and myself had a house together, and we had a lot of fun.
Oh, I imagine.
And those two got to where they couldn't get along, which was a little tough. We won the Dodge, the pickup deal they had during the year, and Matt Tyler and Bobby were going to split the trucks at one time. And then Matt Tyler said, no, we're going to go ahead, and Mike Beers and I are going to win it our own self. So this created a big friction in the house. Instead of splitting the trucks and Bobby and I getting one and Matt and Mike getting one, Bobby and Matt get crossed up, so they're going to go head-to-head and win it. So we spent a lot of money sending horses to Florida to go win these trucks. And then right at the end of it, Matt Tyler said, hey, we're going to split them trucks now, aren't we? And Bobby Hurley said, no, that ain't happening. So that created a little problem. And I think Matt Tyler's words were, Mike Beers, it's you and me, and no anybody else.
Yeah. So over the years, have you guys seen like a lot of guys match for big money? I mean, like me and Brandon every once in a while get in the dice game and it gets a little wild, but I always wonder, like, guys like you, and, you're sitting around and just match for big money.
Up there in the Northwest, the Curran brothers, they used to have big ropings up there, and then bulldoggers and stuff would get in some card games, game called Lou. And they would lose horses, they would lose it all.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And like, as far as matches go, there's been a lot of matches, like Matt Tyler and Bowie Campbell matched when they were just little kids for $25,000. I think Bowie Campbell had Leo, Matt Tyler had JD, I think, or something like that. But it was for like $25,000.
Wow.
Back in the day, the two-back was kind of like, I would call it like a match rope. It was just a big match rope.
I remember you had two back there.
Yeah.
You'd be able to rope the dummy.
Yeah, I'd rope in the I'd bring up the steers and be roping the steers as they're going up. But yeah, it was. You see the best teams in the world and enter once, right?
Yeah.
And then
two back was winner take all.
Yeah, it was.
Wow,
It was a match,
awesome.
pretty
I
much
like
match
that.
roping. Yeah, like
I like that.
And they went from two back to the fairgrounds
Yeah,
here, and
yeah.
you could go twice.
yeah.
But it was long score, and you had to go knock them down.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
Big steers, like 600-pound to 550 weights, like big cattle. It was cool
I
watching.
remember the year I won it one year, and my partner was first and second high team back.
Oh, wow.
And I was saving fees with his other part, with Corey Kuntz, and I were saving fees back then, where if I didn't win it or he won it, we'd take care of each other's fees. And we're both first and second high team back with Trey Pope. And this Trey Pope was a rookie back then, and he could do things nobody else could do. But yeah, I ended up winning. I won 16,800 or something like that, and a
That's
trip
awesome.
to Little Abner's.
That's awesome. Little Abner's. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Best steak in Tucson.
Yeah, George took us to Little Abner's.
Yeah.
What was the biggest little rodeo you went to? Maybe two back, or
The little rodeo we went to.
I mean, just that it's a small rodeo, but everybody knows about it, and everybody wants to go there. Everybody wants to wear the chrome from there, or
we used to go to the Cow Palace was a good, one of the best rodeos.
You're a California guy, right? That's
Yeah.
Cow Palace.
And then like Sacramento Kings, they had a rodeo right there on the basketball court that was tiny.
Oh, that's cool.
But see, where we lived, you could win 20,000 in our circuit alone. So I went all around all around one year in the Sierra Circuit. I won $114 to cap roping, but I won 23,000 to team roping. The guys weren't very happy.
Yeah.
I borrowed 4 ropes and 4 horses. Each time I just borrow it, And but our circuit was pretty good. A lot of them guys would enter different circuits because they were easier, or different stuff like that.
Have you been? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You know about Sonoyta? That was one that kind of started my career. I think I won that one. I was about 16 years old, and I can do this. Them guys are a bunch of good
That's a
guys
pretty
roping
cool
over there.
rodeo down
That's
there,
that one.
like with the
yeah,
racetrack,
it's
right?
it's an amateur rodeo, but like everybody around Arizona knows
Everybody
about that when they
about it, yeah.
go to Sonoyta.
See, they used to have an amateur rodeo in Delhart, Texas that had,
Yeah.
the year I won it, had 554 teams.
Yeah, that's what
Mhm.
something like that.
That
just-
was,
that everybody knows about and everybody goes to. And
Well, like
Yeah.
Taylor, huh?
Yeah, Taylor's they have that on 4th of July too. Yeah, there's some really fun rodeos for sure.
or like when way back when Groundy put on that match with Red Rock in this little bitty,
they didn't
I
say
think-
that about hauling him everywhere. They hauled that bull as many miles as
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that was like in Del Rio or in somewhere, like that. Just those stories are kind of cool to me because everybody knows the big ones. Everybody talks about Pendleton and they talk about all these big rodeos, but it's cool when you guys talk about Sonoyta or Cal Palace or somewhere.
We run, see, like you run steers every day of the week. I mean, it's just like any other business. You're someplace today, and you might be in Fort Worth tomorrow. It just on how hard you want to rodeo.
Which one did you dread the most over the years? Like, which one were you like, shit, I got to go here. I need the money, but I don't want.
There wasn't many of them. I didn't dread none of them because any day rodeoing was better than a day having to work.
Yeah, that's true. What's so like right now the World Series? I mean, from now until NFR starts, there's Wickenburg slammed everywhere. There's
I
World
was over there the
Series.
other day. There's people everywhere.
Everywhere.
What's your Dennis Gates today? What's your schedule? Are you hitting the jackpot scene pretty hard between now? You doing the
Yeah, I'll go to
Wickenburg
this
and all
week
that?
Stay up there.
Yeah. You going to Vegas?
Yeah.
Anything out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like a green room, in the color of money that where the guy plays pool, you could make a lot of money. And
Yeah.
these other,
You can
Yeah.
win. I mean, for yourself, you can win over $100,000 over there in Vegas.
this is-
and when you rodeoed back in the day, you rode your butt off and didn't have an opportunity to win that much there. And there you go. It's just
Yeah.
like that.
Very true, right there. Very
it's
true.
gonna get to where people are matching. I think is what's gonna happen now.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Just like
That's
we
why I
talked
asked that question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get that way, I think, because, sooner or later, Wickenburg's got to stop. I mean, it's still growing.
Yeah.
And there's horses and people and horse sales. And
I think the best roping of the year is the open they have in Wickenburg right before the finals.
It's a tough roping.
I mean, I kind of take the day off.
Yeah.
You got
And I watch it.
you got pretty much all the top
1,100
15
more people.
in the world just on their way to Vegas right there. They're just going to kind of work on their game and just stay sharp right there.
see, used to, we had ropings like Oakdale 10 steer. You had Dr. Falks was a roping at Chachilla
10
Stampede.
steers at Oakdale,
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
both of you come from the right side.
and he had to rope 10 head.
10 in.
Oakdale's an awesome rodeo. It's
If you placed at Oakdale, Riverside, all these, there was like 4 jackpots. If you placed at those, you couldn't rope anywhere else. It's called a non-winners roping. If you placed at Riverside, Oakdale, Chachilla Stampede, it was an 8-header that over 35-foot score, and you could go down there and be 12 or 13 and make a hell of a run. But if you placed at those ropings, you couldn't hardly go to any other ropings. But you had guys like Johnny Masters and some of the greats. I mean, Ricky Green, Johnny Masters, Wade Masters. There was just a lot of guys that roped good. Gary Mao. You had guys, unbelievable ropers.
Is that how they still do Oakdale? 10 head?
it's you come on the
And they
heel-
count
heel
cut of
side.
the last 2 steers at Oakdale. Like you'll have, when you get to your 8 steer, if you're still in the average, they count cut of the last 2.
That is pretty cool.
Did you ever win it?
No, but I held the arena record there for a while. I don't know. I was 4-1. I think they got beat, but me and Coulter had the arena record there for a while and placed in the average a few times.
That's
I never did win it though, but
I think I've got 3 of them buckles. I don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
With an oak tree on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know where none of them
I
are.
could guess where
It's one of
they're
my
at,
favorite
probably at
pictures.
Mustang Ranch. They're probably at the Mustang
Hey,
Ranch.
the craziest thing was how that started. I was going through a divorce and stopped in there just to check it out.
Yeah.
And I
Wait,
had
hold on. You were going through a divorce before you stopped?
Yes,
there?
before that.
Oh, all right.
But so
Get that clear.
I was in a situation where it wasn't very good, and I needed to go get protected. So I knew a friend in Winnemucca that could help me, so I went to there, and I stopped in that place, and this lady says, "Are those Wilson Capron spurs you're wearing?" I said, "Well, yes, they are." She goes, "Well, how do I get a set of them?" And I said, "Wilson, talk to this lady," not knowing that she was the owner. And she ordered a pair of spurs, and we got to talking. One thing led to another. I stopped in there a couple more times.
Oh, yeah. Just friendly, talking about
They
sports.
had one sponsorship. They had one guy wearing their logos out there, and he couldn't wear it in certain states. And then, going through the situation I was going through, I thought, hey, I'm the guy. Well,
And when we were putting on those bull ridings, we had Hooters and Explicit was a gentleman's club, and they sponsored us for the Barrett Jackson bull riding, and we got a lot of backlash.
how'd your wife take that?
Well,
You know,
that was
business is business, but it doesn't. That
I'm
doesn't
liking
count.
it too much. Yeah. So, okay, before we get into my wife's,
Let's stop right there.
Yeah, I mean, you're the guest, Dennis. You can't ask the question.
So see, the funny thing was, like, I would go to Las Vegas. I'd stay there for the national finals, and then I'd rest for 4 days, and then another event started in Las Vegas. I think it starts in January now, but it was the AVN Awards,
AVN Awards, yeah.
and that was a little hard on the guy.
Yeah, I imagine. Especially back then, I don't think there was any help offered, was there?
No, the stories just got greater and greater.
Yeah.
I had no business going places like that.
Okay, we got to get out of the gutter.
Yeah.
Caesar, let's talk about
Well,
horses of the year.
Something that Dennis is really passionate about too, horses.
Besides Mustangs.
We're gonna talk a little bit about, come back with some of the horses, but I'm gonna go in with team roping right off the bat. Some of the best head horses Clint Summers owns right now. He's got a couple of my favorites, but he owns Joe. That's the head horse of the year. What a beautiful horse, fast, scores, does it all. Congratulations to that horse for winning that. And Patrick Smith's Turbo, cool little Dunhill horse. He's been great for
There's a lot of horses out there that deserve that title. It's not just, and it's a tough group of guys.
Well, it's voted on by your peers,
Right?
So it's not like the fans from the Cowboy channels can.
People that know.
Yeah, it's the top 25 in the world. They get to, I think it's 30, maybe something like that. Get to pick out the horse of the year. So it's voted on by your peers. So it's kind of a deal that needs to be. I feel like needs to be more.
Because those guys see that horse go day in, day out.
It's a war horse. This sucker's he's there's something to these horses. I have a hard time explaining. Like when you're tired and wore out and you're sore, you got to know your horse is tired and sore too. And then he give you his heart every time. And actually, like you look at it, it's like, man, that was an easy shot. And the horse, he's sore, he's tired, and he give me a shot on a tough cow. So that's why the war horses.
It really
need to have a name for that. Like
it really shows after the 4th of July.
For sure.
When you get done with all them one headers and some guys can't even get a throw off their horses.
Right.
And the horses are still giving you 100%.
Yep.
That makes the world of difference on who dominates and who doesn't.
Yeah. Patrick Smith's had a couple heel horse of the year. So man, shout out to him. He
always rode good horses.
Yeah. He won rookie of the year the same year that I started rodeoing, and man, that was, we got juniors on Brown in the house. It was a cool fight to battle it out with that guy right there. He was, to be at a certain level, you have to have somebody pushing you all the time. And I had a lot of great guys pushing me. It was awesome. So, and then, you like fast horses. So we're going to go into the steer wrestling, and we're Eddie, they call him.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ed's Famous Smart is his registered name. And you got to hang out.
Is that his first time winning in the bulldogging?
I'm not sure.
Because I haven't heard. I mean, I kind of pay attention to that because I think it's cool how those guys all.
It takes a pretty special horse to do what they do.
Yeah, you got to hang out a lot of the great legendary bulldoggers. Like, talk a little bit about.
I remember they had a horse called Yellow Dog that if you didn't jump off Yellow Dog, he would throw you off. And that was Houston Powers' horse. They hauled him all over the world, but if you didn't get off, he's gonna get you off. About the time them guys would crawl back up the top, he would just slap them. I mean, and then you had a horse called Catfish that was just phenomenal. That Alfalfa Pedersen had, and I think the casinos were behind him and everything. But the bulldogging's a different event. Them horses now are broke, where before they used to just run off.
Mm.
Rod Lyman had a lot to do with them horses get broke, and John W. Jones.
Ring snaffle, and they bid up like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me, so you said multiple guys ride one horse at, at the farm. The guy that owns that horse, does he get a cut for each guy that runs that horse?
25%
of the
his
winning?
hazing will get so much. He'll not only have the bulldogging horse, he'll probably use the hazing for that horse.
But is it only if they win?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I
He
mean,
gets a percentage of what they win.
Cowboy type deal. If you have a bad day,
I think like Catfish had 7 or 8 riders on
spread the
year.
wealth a little.
I got you, but
That's a cool. I like hanging out with the bulldoggers just because
Those dudes are tough.
they're 4 or 5 guys in a rig and they help each other out, and like I mean they eat together like
They're
you're
friends.
talking about. They're real tight,
Yeah.
but it's not just a header and a healer. You got 4 or 5 guys in the rig. Like you got 250 pounds. You know what I mean? 6'2". I mean units, and they're sleeping in a little. I mean small living quarters. And they cram in there and they sleep.
They're
and
tight.
They wake up in the morning with a great attitude, high fiving each other, ready to bulldog. We're like, man, that's a
Luke
great
Brand-
attitude to have. You know. What I mean?
Luke Branquino's from California.
Good
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty
he's a
cool
good
dude.
cat.
He's a cowboy, man.
He's
That
pumped
guy.
up
Got a
all the
heck
time.
of a podcast. I watch him all the time.
Yeah.
How many of them don't own or don't have their own horse that are out there?
That depends. I mean, you can go to some. We went to a bunch of rodeos down South Texas one time, and everybody trained and rode their own horse. The announcer would say, but they kept getting on the same horse. You know, this
The
cowboy.
ones they traded were at home.
Is that common where a guy will take off for the first year and just kind of think in his mind, I'm going to use a horse on every rodeo? Or
You
no?
just want to get in the rig. If you're a bulldog, I want to get in the rig with these horses.
And
you
who's
know, like
been in?
Casey Jones.
Oh,
was-
okay.
When I was rodeoing, they were wanting to get in with Casey Jones because he had the baddest horses around.
So they're competing for that back seat to
A
get
lot of
be able
guys
to ride
like
it.
Yep,
John.
yep.
If you can't bulldog very
Yep.
good, you don't get to get on.
I got
Or if you don't ride that
Well,
horse
yeah,
the
'cause
right
they're
way.
getting 25% of the win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
if
I
you're
mean.
too hard on the horse, you know, I know Casey. His horses were soft too. Like if you're over there manhandling, you wouldn't get on. But if you had kind of a little a soft hand with them, and you were a gamer, you were on every time.
It was fun to watch guys like John W. Jones. He would switch hands. You know, most of them bulldoggers would ride with the right hand, where John W. would score with his left hand, and then switch hands as he'd go to him. It was a lot of people don't notice that, but it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Rod Lyman's another one that had so much finesse with his hands. He could ride them horses. A lot of guys didn't. You know,
That's pretty important. Like just kind of staying out of them horses' way and letting them work.
I liked watching Sid Steiner Bulldog.
He's a
It's just
cat.
so wild.
Yeah.
The victory. I liked it
Yeah.
when
There
he
was
slammed the
another guy-
steer and just yeah.
Hey, there was a guy named Gary Green at one time, and Gary Green was, I mean, he was always pumped up, but he would take him, like if he missed a steer at the finals one year and he landed in front of him, and he just grabbed him by both horns and just bulldogs him, just wham.
Just because.
Just amazing the strength that some of them guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sure thought it was funny how the PRCA treated Rocker, and I mean, like you guys said before, rules are rules. You can't break the rules, but I mean, they fined him and fined him and fined him at the NFR.
They
but
find his dad. It's fine.
They,
It's just
yeah, they fined everybody. But this year, I've been watching it pretty closely, and they're using him at NASCAR events to promote the PRCA NASCAR and this and that and everywhere. And I'm thinking,
yep.
You got to pay for them fines somehow.
You
Huh?
gotta pay for those fines.
Because you don't get to draw another stock whenever you don't
Right.
have your fines paid.
Right.
You know, that's a big deal.
Oh, for sure, for sure. One of my favorite events is tie down roping for sure. Those horses are amazing, and no stranger to having a really good calf horse is Shane Hanchy,
Absolutely.
and he's riding stylish Bugsy, and so that's pretty neat. I can't wait to watch him go. Yeah, oh yeah, he's always riding something that's world class. That guy. I think
He has a big invitational roping, doesn't he?
Oh yeah,
Big invitational.
big one. Lots of money out. He has junior events. It's a really cool
Breakaway
roping.
now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
breakaway.
Yeah.
Most of those horses make good heel horses too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Strong to the horn like we like him, right? When you dally, it's over.
There was a guy named Mike Arnold used to make the best cap horses.
Oh yeah, I love Mike. He's
Cool
a buddy.
Breeze.
Oh yeah, Cool Breeze.
Cool Breeze.
Yeah. He's
Class
he-
act.
That's Shane Hanchy. If you've seen him like kind of walking down the road, you'd think that's not the guy running down the line to flank calves. You know, he's
Yeah.
some of them other dudes are
Well,
big.
look, you got to remember.
stout.
You got to remember Joe B. I mean, how Joe B. He didn't look like he would do a whole lot, but he could get down there before anybody else could.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Shane went to Joby's couple of his clinics and roping schools and stuff. He learned from the very best. But I think a secret maybe rubbed off on Joe. Told him, hey, you get them good horses and you keep them around as much as possible because that's a secret to his success. He's had some really. Shane's had some really good ones.
Joe B. told me one time, "Don't let your pride get in the way. Get on the best one there."
If he's 19 years old and crippled and no tail and roach mane, you get on that sucker because
You
you're
could
going to win.
And Joe B. he was one of the best competitors I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you couldn't out rodeo him. You couldn't get him down. You couldn't. I mean, he's just a work of art. You know.
He
Who?
was one of those guys that said, if you show me a winner with a good attitude, I'll show you a loser or something like that.
You know, it's funny when I roped with Joe B. And when he and I quit, I went to rope with Charles Pogue and we was at Caldwell, Idaho, and I followed Joe B. to his trailer. I wanted to see him throw his rope can against his trailer one more time.
Just for old time's sake.
one more time.
Yeah, I said, I just want to follow you to the trailer because he threw his
For
rope
old
can.
time's sake.
Boom. I've seen a lot of guys do that though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough event right there.
One year we're at Pueblo and we see these ropes going over the wall. Just one at a time. Kind of hear something grumbling in the background. We walk around. T. Woolman's over there. Guy's rope back. He's cussing, throwing his ropes over the wall. And a little kid walked up. Mr. Woolman, could I have your autograph? And he's sure, sonny. Signed it. There, son. And he goes back to throwing him ropes over the wall. We laugh.
But we were talking about breakaway a little while ago. Shelby Bosley Medjid, she's riding really good horses all the time. Her and Havid are a pretty good team. They're married now, and man, they have awesome horses. No Wimpy's Turn is, and they call that one Ona, but that right there, when we talk about stop,
That's unbelievable. That horse.
that one will belly touches their belly when he stops. That's a cool horse.
I'd like to have a heel horse out of Wimpy Step that stops like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great event that's coming to our sport too.
I think so. The quality of horses is pretty neat. I like seeing them kind of horses that can do that kind of work. How they blast across the line and they could just melt, just drop down to their bellies. I love it.
We need to start giving them respect and get them in that main event.
I think so too.
Right.
It's fun. It's fast.
Yeah, and they can get it out. You know what I mean? They can make it happen.
I think
It's
so.
brought a lot of girls back into the
Absolutely.
line,
Yeah.
I think JJ Hampton's coming back this year at the finals.
She likes to bring heat. She's one of my favorites to watch.
I've known JJ for years. She was a cool person. She had a brother that was really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But the horsepower is unbelievable that we have today. As you know, you've got a heel horse that's in that caliber that could break away on the same. They say he's a big stopper, and that's what it takes.
Yeah.
What you got for barrel horses, Cesar?
I didn't have it, but I'm surely Haley Kinsel.
Surely we can go to Junior.
Haley Kinsel and
Emily Beisel.
I'll stay on
Emily
this one.
Beisel.
Yeah, my
Look it up, Junior. Who we got?
yeah, for the barrel horse. My wife's a dental hygienist, and so Emily Beisel's also a dental hygienist.
That's right.
So we
Very
definitely
smart
watch all the barrel racings, and she has Chongo. That's Emily's
The gray horse, really
the gray horse, and then her other horse is Pipe Wrench.
Huh.
So, I mean, we're pretty versed.
That's cool.
And then Sisters rode by Haley.
Yeah, I like that horse. I really like that horse. She's funny. She's got a great personality, that mare. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and we talked about it before at some of these rodeos, and I seen an interview with her, and she said that sometimes they'll put them like a half a mile away, and they got to walk them high dollar horses across
Bullshit,
pavement all the way.
Why are they any different than the horses we ride?
I don't know. That she's pretty special. That Sisters. She's really cool mare. Her babies are worth a lot of money.
World or arena record holder? Who you got?
Let's got it right here.
Okay.
Let's the barrel racing is Fame Fire Rocks. Pop Rocks is the name, ridden by Tacey Matthews,
Old Pop Rocks.
owned by Mission Ranch LLC.
Shout out Mission Ranch LLC.
Yeah, that's I'm sure Fame Fire Rock. There's got to be some kind of dash to fame or something like that. Surely
Have
something
to be.
back a couple lineages back, but
He's a bad motor scooter.
what a fast
It
horse.
goes back like I was around when Scamper was around, and there's no comparison to Scamper was one of a kind.
He ran with the no bit at the NFR. That's pretty impressive to me. Yeah.
When I met her, she was like 14 years old, and she had Scamper in one of them open top trailers down there in Delhart. They had a gunny sack over his nose and freezing cold, and that was him.
That was him, huh? What who's your guys' picks at the NFR? I mean, we don't have to go through every event unless you want to, but
Well, let's go a little team rope at
let's
least.
start with
You know,
the team rope and see where we're at.
Man, I'm gonna have to go, and this is
we know where you're
it's
going.
wild because Caleb Jiggers and Junior are my partners. My team always Junior bought Lucky Bucky, and he's always been my favorite healer. But I'm gonna have to go with Derek Begay and Coulter Todd this year because they were my two favorite headers, and I owe a lot of my success to those guys.
I'll agree.
I'm
Coulter
just gonna-
Todd deserves it.
I mean, I've been telling people all the time. There's guys that switch end really good. I know a pile of them. Caleb Jiggers is a really good one, but how many guys that have switched ends contended for a world title? I won in 2007. Coulter and I were reserve world champions. We were $5,000 from winning a world title, and so I'd consider that a contender, right, for heading, world champion.
You got to remember, Speedy went there healing one time.
Did he contend for a world title? Did
I
he ever?
Well,
Coulter's
at that
going in
time-
the top 5.
At that time, you couldn't win the amount of money you could win.
Yeah.
Today, But
Coulter started off heading though, and then come back
Colter's
healing.
been both sides of the fence. Yeah,
That's kind of cool, you know what I mean? That's to me. I guess I'm playing favorites. That's my spiritual brother.
even
right there,
somebody that didn't know him would have to pick him because this year he's been unconscious.
man, he just dubs every time.
Tomorrow a horse, it don't matter.
It doesn't surprise me because when I used to practice with him when we were teenagers all the time, I used to turn him steer after steer after steer, and he wouldn't miss. We go over there, rope goats, and he wouldn't miss. We'd rope the lead steer, and he wouldn't miss. So like, it's no surprise that.
I think it's really cool.
I got to see it live when he was a teenager. So
and he got to go home. He went and stayed home for a little while, and now he's back at it. And
raise his babies.
It's just gonna make it worse because it's hard to go back out there.
Man, I tell you what, he's been missing the ranch a little bit, and there's a couple times where he thought he probably needs to get back home and go home, but
And can't.
it was Colorado Springs. He was about ready to head home, and then he wins Colorado Springs. And just when I thought I was done with you, you got me back.
You drugged me back.
Just right back in.
You know, about the time he thought things would be bad, win another one.
Yeah.
You know? Every major rodeo this year, he's pretty much won.
And Begay is a gamer. You know, Coulter's a gamer. And you put them two together on good horses, they're gonna win.
I see Begay's got Earth Movers as Donnie's shirt now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Baby Rivera.
Baby Rivera, yeah.
Yep. Who's your pick?
I'm saying Coulter and I'll tell those two.
I mean, I'm from Arizona, and I call me biased, but man, those are my buddies. It's just my best friend. So
It could be anybody's rodeo though, for sure.
Yep. And I just feel like when you get on a good start and like you know what I mean, you're kind of a gamer and you're a winner.
Just rolling.
And like those kind of guys, you've seen it this year. They kind of can ride. They can ride the wave.
That building changes everything though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no other rodeo you go to all year long like that building.
Mm-hmm. That's man.
Just breaking in the steers, you might get outrun. You know, and then you might break the barrier, break it in the steers. You never know what.
I went over there and roped the steer, broke in the steers, and felt really sharp about it. And I didn't catch during the week. And then I went over there and roped crappy and breaking in, and it was the best week of my career over there. So
I go to the World Junior Championships when Bobby and I split up, and I think I went 28 times as junior senior, and I never caught one. I mean, I couldn't catch for nothing. Steve Northcott says, "What are you thinking now?" And I say, "The rope is my friend. The rope is my friend." And,
see the feet.
Steve Northcott says, "Hey, don't worry about it. I win 40,000 last year when I was doing that." And sure enough, that next week I win 44,000. But I sure didn't feel very good about it. I mean, Bobby and I, when we split up, I loaded all my horses and went to the World Junior Championships, and I nonstop drove there, slipped on ice when I got out of the truck and bumped my head on the running board, and I never told a kid no in that junior senior, and I never caught a steer. I was thinking, oh boy,
this is a very humbling game. It'll just when you think you got it figured out.
Who you got, B?
It is something. But for all of them boys that's going to get to go, it changes your whole life because it's never the same when you get done. You know.
I think T Wade's gonna get done.
Oh yeah.
That guy does good over there, and
he's
got a
got
world,
to do it.
world champion healer back there. Those are two really sharp ropers, right?
And I mean, I'm taking nothing away from Derek and Coulter. I mean,
No.
I of course I want them to win. You know, they're our boys. But I just if I got to sit here and pick somebody,
T Wade gets called out for, I call it crossfire for the headers when he throws in the box before the barrier pops and the neck rope pops off. I don't know if for all them people out there listening, there's a rule nowadays for guys like him that can throw from the back of the box.
Yeah, he doesn't have to leave.
He can have it on the steer before he can get two swings off and have it on the steer's
Before the
horns
neck rope
before the
comes
neck rope pops off. And so people are like, hey, that's cheating. That's crossfire. You know what I mean? That's kind of crossfire. And so no time for the team because the header threw in the box.
That's amazing that he could do that.
Yes. Dustin Egaskiza is another guy. There's some guys that can take 3 swings before they hit the plane in the box. And
So
just for all you at home, try that. Just see if you can make your horse go across the line.
See where your horse goes from there.
let me ask you this though, Cesar. By doing that, he's throwing a lot of rope.
No. He sometimes if the steer's out there and the steer's running, he'll release a lot. But he knows how he can drop a coil. He can drop one. He can kind of drop a half a coil even.
Yeah.
But he judges that across the line.
But
and that's the thing about the good headers. Like they're gonna throw right there, but they kind of if the steer's slower, they're gonna shorten it up and rope them and kind of keep everything on a tight rope.
Like 2 styles. Maybe I'm wrong. Just correct me if I'm wrong. But the 2 styles. One style, my favorite. Header is Eric Rogers. Kind of rides out there, getting a short rope, handles them. The healer makes up the time. I'm just saying that. Or you got the Dustin throws all his rope. He's on it quick, but he's all of a sudden
The
into
healer
the
has to wait. It
and
seems
and
like.
he's already to the fence. So
Watch
it
those-
has to be.
Watch those style of headers and who they have healing back there. They got
That's
Levi Lord and Wesley Thorpe. They have a mean tight heel loop. As soon as it hits the feet, they use a real small heel loop.
Yeah.
So whenever the healer heals the time, it's done. Eric Rogers ropes with Paul Leaves. Paul uses a little bit bigger heel loop, uses his horse a little bit more, but he is teeing off right there every single time. But Rogers is setting it up. But you're gonna notice the times are the same.
That's crazy. Huh?
Rogers go one more stride down the arena, and the times will be the same.
Remember,
Because
there's no
he's
room
set.
to the left. Guys only
Yeah.
get one stride. A healer's only going to get one shot.
Because
Yeah.
it's. I mean,
If he doesn't take that shot, you
The
put
fence
everything
is
in
there.
a jam.
yeah.
Who are you taking, Brown?
Eric Rogers.
Yep.
I got a bias,
Well,
I'm homie.
story, I give Paul Leaves a few rides when he was rookie of the year, his rookie year, and man, that's a great guy. From the start all the way till now, world class team roper, and he's just same guy. I love him.
Some of those guys are just. And everybody at the NFR, it is just fun. I mean, they're at the top of the game.
But you got to remember, this week's different than any other week you get to go there. Them guys, the ones that are real tight, it ain't going to pay off. The ones that can drop their hair down there and just go for it.
Yeah,
They're
that's
gonna-
why. And I'm not. And Derek, of course, can do it, but T Wade can.
There's a lot of them guys can do it. You'll never, and it changes all this week because whoever's got the biggest huevos, it's really who's going to come through.
Cesar, tell me this. Right before we got the Vegas week, like you said, some of these guys are passing through. They're going to stop in and have a chance to win 20, 30,000, which is a lot of compared to what they're making throughout the year on some of these places. Are they riding their best one? Are they riding their NFR horse?
Oh no, man! Nowadays these guys got a trailer load of horses. I talked about Paul a little while ago. I think he's got 6 or 7 of these really top
saying-
horses.
I understand the guys in the top 15, but some of them other guys that aren't in the top 15,
16, 17.
they're still competing, for 20, 30,000
Yeah.
on Wickenburg. Are they?
Yeah, they're going to go to Wickenburg, and then they're going to go to the Outdoor Open in Vegas, and then they got a big World Series Open that
But
pays a lot.
they're riding their number one though.
They're going to ride probably their number ones, but it's a totally different setup. You'll see a couple guys. They might ride their good horses and kind of keep them free and running across there because that building's real small. But a lot of the times they're going to keep that horse feeling good because it's hard on them over there in that building, and then it's kind of hard where they sleep and they're in box stalls and stuff. So they do get sore toward the end of the week. So he's probably just saving the runs on his horse. Paul's got, like I said, 6 or 7 number one heel horses, and he can probably take his 7th and beat everybody's butt over here in Arizona, and then ride his number one in Vegas.
It takes 4.9 seconds to get from the header's box to the bucket chutes in Las Vegas. I've seen guys run into the bucket chutes, and then if you can be 4.9 if you hit the bucket chutes. And that's how long it takes to get from one end of that arena to the other one. So you might not, that horse you ride there might not go anywhere else but there.
So who's your guys' pick for like the dark horse out of every event going on at the NFR? Who's the guy you think's going to shock the world over there? Or girl barrel racer? I mean, is it Shane Hanchy? I mean, these guys.
It's gonna be Clayton Bigelow. Big shout out Clayton Bigelow.
He always does good.
He does good.
I think Kai Hamilton's going to win.
I've been watching that deal. He's a pretty cool guy.
I think he's going to win the bull ride.
Yeah.
I'm picking JJ in the breakaway real
And
quick.
I think he's coming in. He's 100 behind Stetson right now.
Oh wow.
What's that?
Man.
3 horses?
No,
What are the day monies paid this year?
Is it 28? I think.
28.
So
Wow.
three go rounds.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that. I mean, and that guy's riding so tough. He lives with JB now, and JB's putting him on bulls every single day. And he said, we don't believe in that. We're going to the finals, so we're not gonna get hurt, or we're not gonna. This is our job. We practice.
Is he standing on the ball? You see?
Yeah, he's got him standing on the balls. That's my pick. He's going in 100,000 down. I think he can get it done.
Wow.
You guys heard my pick in the team roping first of all, but man, I'm going to throw a team out there that got teamed up at this, and that happens. Sometimes it's a funny thing, but because of the Colby Payne ordeal, Clay Smith went in to the NFR roping Colby Payne. He didn't make it, so same thing with Peyton Bray. Peyton Bray. He got his partner didn't make it either, and so they're going to get paired together.
Oh.
And Peyton, I've been helping Peyton all through the year, and when he sends me videos of him might make a mistake. The majority of them are 2-footers, and he does really good. And I told him, just when he makes a mistake, hey, just keep your mind together. You know, just don't fight it. Just relax. And he's been roping calves this year, so that helps him out to kind of keep his mind right. But be on the lookout for that team. That Clay Smith's a 2-time world champion. That healer, Payton, he's sharp, man. He catches a lot of 2-footers.
You know, the funny thing is there's only 14 teams to beat when you get there. You know, you've been battling all year long to 100 teams at the rodeos or whatever. When you get to Las Vegas, if you keep your head together, you only got 14 teams to beat. So you kind of got to watch what's going on, you know.
So what's their number coming in, that team?
They're kind of going, well, the money's going to pair them up, but it might be a little different. But, yeah, they're going to go kind of toward the bottom.
Maybe like 13th?
Something like that, 10th, like that. So they're going to get to go, and if they can get a good start, and that Clay's wicked in that building.
Right.
He does so good over there, and if they can get a good start, and some of them guys that we talked about that maybe have a few mistakes. But
I talked to his dad last year at the Cosmo. He stayed at the Cosmo. He stayed at the Cosmo. And,
They call him Little Don.
Yeah.
That's what they call him.
Yeah. And I talked to him, and he was really nice. Clay's dad, I enjoyed talking to him. But when you get paired up like that, is that a situation where you look at it like, man, I got nothing to lose. Like we're just gonna go to it, you know, and I mean, or is it where we can go out here, we make businessman runs every day because we ain't roped together all year?
There is no businessman runs there, really.
no.
The conditions are too short. I mean, anything can happen. If
Controlled aggression.
you know, if a steer steps to the left, you can't go nowhere, and it's different for the team. However, the team can benefit where that steer goes. I mean, like you've had guys that could really reach, but if they really reach, you can't push one at him because he's got a lot of rope out. So
Right. You need to let him go right.
You know, I mean, that steer almost got to go away from where he's gone all year.
If you go in, say 14th, 15th, you're down there and you have a big gap to make the world champion. Is there ever a conversation where you would say your partner, let's go be 5 on 10 of them?
Yeah,
I mean,
Man,
and
I
it's
tell you what.
70,000, right?
that's what I was saying.
I went in leading the world one time, and my good friends, we buddied with them all year long. Turtle Powell and Jet Johnson come from last place and wiped everybody's. I mean,
And won the world.
won the world.
I remember.
They won. They started off winning the first round, come back and probably win the third round, and like
To see the way it
And
goes
just
in.
every night it was the same run. I remember.
the game was roping pretty good. I kind of struggled to start off with, and we finally got our run figured out about halfway through. But them guys they just
And that's what I meant by businessman run. Just do you go out there and say, I haven't roped with this guy all year long, so we're just going to get it back to basics and rope.
I'm gonna say, like, I bring up that team because there was a famous Jake's had some tough luck sometimes. You know what I mean? He's cut his thumb off at the finals, but one time he had a wreck about a week or two before the NFR. Horse fell on him, hurt him pretty good. So they brought up Jojo Lamond to rope with Junior Noguera, and that team almost won. I talked to Junior about it a little bit, and he's been on a few podcasts that talked about it. But on the last year of the NFR, the 10th round, all Junior had to do was catch the steer, just get a time, leg barrier, just get a time to win a
Hardest
world
one to
title.
catch.
Junior
And we're going to talk about this loyalty that Dennis was talking about. JoJo asked him, what do you want to do? And Junior said, let's just do the same thing we've been doing all week. Let's just go blast them and have fun. That's just, we got here, you know, this I'm with you, brother. That's what he told him. Like, let's just make the same run. And it's like I said, loyalty, you know, like I came here with you, like with this, we came here gonna have fun because we got paired up, and look at us now.
That's how the great teams come together. When two guys' style fits, I mean, it really makes a big difference, especially if you're friends with that guy. Because, like, I had trouble roping with guys I didn't like.
Well, yeah, and then, like, JoJo lost his rope. And then guess who gave him the first hug at the back end of the arena when JoJo, like, Junior went over there and tracked him down and gave him a big old hug. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we won over 100,000 over here, dude. I know it was a lifelong dream, but, man, it was one of those things where, like, at least I know what it's like to be in this position. That's kind of and unique in itself.
You don't know how many times I went to Jake Clay and what an honor it was to be in their circle. You know,
Yes.
just to get to compete against
Those
you
guys pushed you, right?
Yeah.
To get to the next level.
You know, we buddied with him. I roped with Jake a lot, second partners, and it was it's a camaraderie that you get with each other, because you spend a lot of time in that truck going, and it's a bunch of gypsies going from one place to another place, same place.
Different personalities, every one of them.
And you put two guys in one vehicle that don't get along, for long, that guy's riding with the other partner. Or, you know, we used to have speakers in our trailers. You know, you could kind of hear what they're talking about. It was funny. Speedy would unplug it. He'd unplug it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. We've talked about Well, we covered the Mustang Ranch.
The
No.
prostitutes,
We
NFR.
covered the NFR.
Horses of the year.
He said, they just want to pay for some go-around wins.
I don't see the problem. All right, Dennis. Well, thanks, buddy.
I appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. One of my heroes of all time.
Yeah, the fans, they definitely were.
Roping's been good to us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to be a part of it.
You talked about it. No better way to live.
There is no other.
A dollar one is better than a dollar
Travis,
earned.
Travis Erickson told me the other day, he said, "What about our life? There's nothing better." And Travis Erickson's one of those kind of guys that brighten your day up no matter how.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And there is no better life than what we get to live. It's when we quit living that life. That's when everything adds up or gets caught up. Speaking from my experiences, I went some different directions because of that. But I'm glad to be back where I belong.
If there's a kid out there listening, you got some advice for a young guy that's wanting to
Stay out of the trenches.
Yep.
You know, if you need help, ask for it. People can't read your mind.
That's a
100%.
biggie right there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
that's
advice.
that's a
Don't
biggie.
be afraid to ask for it.
All righty. Well, that's part 2 with Dennis Gatz. Thanks again to Hauser Built Farms and Retrievers. And
Yeah,
all
we
that
want
good
to thank
stuff.
all of our sponsors. You know, they see them up
Quinity.
here.
Oh, yeah,
There's
Flint
a
Farm.
lot of you guys coming in to town, these snowbirds and stuff from, look these guys up. Yep, Southwest, Chad, they'll deliver states, anywhere. So let us know.
You know, I want to thank you guys for doing this, for bringing it together. A lot of people watch this program, and it's pretty cool. You guys have done some good things.
I appreciate it. We're having a lot of fun doing it. I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, and I make friends. I mean, I talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys.